This build not only gets plus 1,000 lore points, but plus 1,000 cool points. Golden rank Swordmasters of Hoeth with a thematic Lore Masters build, whatever order of Lore Masters here, led by Techless. We've got a Frostheart Phoenix, a Lore Master, and a Swordmaster of Hoeth unit, of course, golden rank. Yeah, this is actually right at Rohan. This was back a while ago, played on Felcon's stream. I think it was an XMT related event for the XMT clan. And yeah, essentially, Rider Rohan, I think, was instructed to take like a variation of Techless starting army. So he's got Techless, the Lore Master, yes, the Swordmasters, and the Frostheart up against the Empire. Sadao here with Karl Franz, Steam Tank, 4 War Wagons, 5 Veteran Spearmen. Not quite as veteran as the Swordmasters, but still, Sigmar's Sons, Jade Wizard as well, so very fun stuff. Yeah, it's super, super fun. And let's see how they actually do. Swordmasters rank 9 with martial prowess, 59 melee attack, 57 melee defense, decent weapon strength, 25 AP, 14 bonus versus infantry, and 11 base weapon damage. They do also have a missile block chance, not much, but some. You can see they're getting in here. Frostheart Phoenix gets tangled up with Karl. That's not going to be great. Spearman fighting Spearman in the front line. Order of Lore Masters actually looks like they could be on the same team as the Empire with that color scheme, but a nice charge from the Swordmasters. Just straight into some Empire State Troops, and the Steam Tank also running rampant. The Steam Tank will be very key to counter the Lothern Sea Guard here. Definitely needs to stay mobile and try and charge and, you know, keep them occupied here. You can see they're already trading well into the War Wagons. War Wagons, pretty good DPS, best missile DPS of any chariot, but still doesn't quite out DPS like proper ranged infantry. Even kind of hybrid infantry like Lothern Sea Guard, still pretty effective ranged fire. You can see the War Wagons going in, but let's check back in the middle. The Swordmasters already just ruined one unit of Spearmen. Now absolutely ruining the Sigmar Sons here. Man, Swordmasters, I love the masks, I have to say. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of high elf stuff stylistically, but the masks that they have, definitely very, very cool. Karl coming in, moving back away. That Jade Wizard had taken a bit of damage, but let's see. The Frostheart Phoenix also just getting smashed by Karl. Big, big problem. Moves in now to try and finish off the Jade Wizard, though. Pretty good pick. Potential for terror here. It does look like indeed gets terror routed. Sigmar's Sons also getting finished off by the Swordmasters, but Techless is all of a sudden in a pickle. You can see the Steam Tank and Karl going after him very aggressively. Silver Helms cleaning up a bunch of swordsmen, though, and the War Wagons as well. Techless popping a regrowth on himself, going to maneuver up and around, try and get out of there as the Jade Wizard also flees. A lot of the War Wagons, though, just getting wrecked, and if we check in, already 115 kills on the Swordmasters. Oh, man. Just absolutely dominating this Empire Infantry Corps. You can see more Spearmen with shields going to be thrown in to try and tie them down here. And the Steam Tank as well. The Steam Tank actually will end up taking quite a bit of damage in melee. It doesn't look like it's actually in melee at the time, for the time being, but will shortly get involved. But because the Swordmasters have such high stats, they can still trade quite well. Phoenix goes down, as is tradition. Yeah, actually did get beat up by Karl, which is kind of its role, is to at least tie Karl down for a decent amount of time. Techless is still alive. Really nice Flock of Doom there. And mass Lothern Sea Guard fire is going to force Karl away. Balance of power very heavily in the Lore Master's favor. But that Jade Wizard, we take a look over here, is coming back from rout. Very critically, he can now come in and get a regrowth on Karl. You can see there the template pops up. So Karl not only healed, but vigor refreshed as well. Now will be coming back to the fight. Steam Tank also very healthy, grinding in the center. Swordmasters have pretty much finished off, and in fact are in the process of, right now, finishing off these swordsmen. The Steam Tank still alive, so far not in base contact with too many of them. Nice little side charge from the War Wagons there. You can see the Swordmasters actually kind of whack it as they drive by. And they do actually destroy the one model here. So very, very close. The Swordmasters are taking consistent damage now, but if we have a look here, they're also generating some pretty good value, actually. Karl lands. He tries to land on the Techless. Kind of gets blocked by the War Wagon, though. Moves around it. And it's not going to take a lot for Techless to get absolutely destroyed here. You can see Reikland Runefang, Gal Miraz, just all the things. Enfeebling Foe and Shield of Thorns. Doesn't take much, though. That Enfeebling Foe doesn't help as Techless gets absolutely destroyed here. The Steam Tank now kind of detaching to help follow up. A lot of the Sea Guards are quite low, but they do still have a little bit of ammunition left in a couple of cases. War Wagons also skirmishing these Silver Helms way out in the distance there, generating a little bit more value. War Wagons have definitely had a tough time, but Teclis goes down here. Deathclaw just straight up eats him, and all of a sudden the balance of power, wild swing all the way back pretty much towards the center. But this is a problem for the steam tank now. No supporting infantry, is surrounded by Lothern Sea Guard, and of course the armor-piercing Swordmasters, who no doubt have dropped their martial prowess by this point. Yep, in fact, getting very low. Maybe even will tear route here from Karl, and in fact they do. But can the Lore Master hold together his army? He is trying his best, at least. Winning combat currently, technically, but gonna get rear charged by Karl. Just takes a massive steel chair to the back of the head. There's a handful of spearmen kind of hanging around here as well. Silver Helms charge in, try and finish off those spearmen with shields. But the Swordmasters moving in for the final engagement, potentially at least. We'll see. They can keep from getting terror routed and taking too much damage. They can definitely contribute, but we'll keep the health bars up so we can kind of watch their leadership situation as Karl moves in. Once he takes out the Lore Master, removes that leadership component, that will make it a lot easier for these High Elf units to tear route. But Silver Helm's charging in. Can't really lock the steam tank in place, but can at least interrupt it. Swordmaster's also getting a handful of hits in here on Karl. Again, just the fact they have that veteran stats, even without martial prowess, still 57 attack. Plenty high enough to get consistent hits on Karl, do a little bit of armor-piercing damage to him. Oh, that Swordmaster had a bad day, though. Oh yeah, that guy got a hit in there and immediately pays the price for it. They actually do terror route there, and basically the entire High Elf army is terror routing at this point, except for two very clutch Lothern Sea Guard here, sticking to their bows and their spears. Gonna pour in a few more volleys. Steam tank is just about down. It's got 350 minus 1 HP. And Swordmasters, Lore Master all back. Let's see if the steam tank can keep him routing. Karl can keep him routing. He's definitely trying his best. Spearman following up slowly, but a nice charge from the Silver Helms here. Steam tank's down to 71, 64. Can the Silver Helms finish it off? They do indeed. And the steam tank goes down. That's all of a sudden going to tip the balance of power once again. Karl kills the Lore Master. Oh, man. And comes after these Lothern Sea Guard. The few that have ammunition left, there's just a couple of more shots over on these guys. Will it be enough to finish off Karl? The Swordmasters are still fighting. 22 of them left. Just a tiny bit of leadership. Resolute as ever. Karl charging, rear charging even. These Lothern Sea Guard, that is going to be the best answer. There's still a lot of Elves left here for Karl to deal with. Takes a few more volleys from this rallied unit of Sea Guards. Silver Helm's charging in. The Swordmasters terrify away again, but that's fine. And it looks like it's going to be a High Elf victory after all. So nice job by Sadao, almost pulling that one back, almost getting the big bunker bust terror route, but unfortunately wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. And the or Lore Masters, Order of Lore Masters, end up taking home the win. Very nicely done by Ryder Rohan. Very well played to Sadao as well. Super fun game. Just wild builds on both sides. But that's, that's why we play this game sometimes, just to have fun, right? And the Swordmasters do wonderfully pay for themselves. We'll check to see the actual cost of Golden Rank Swordmasters in just a minute. But 2,200 damage value on a unit of expensive Great Weapon melee infantry, especially when you have a counter in the steam tank, which granted got 3,357 damage value by itself. Steam tank absolutely beast mode here, but not quite beast mode enough. Those Swordmasters literally killed like all of this Empire infantry pretty much, and actually did quite a bit of damage probably to the steam tank and to Karl perhaps. Phoenix still doesn't quite pay for itself, even though it does get a pretty good amount of damage value, surprisingly, and also does help lock down Karl momentarily. Lore Master does okay. Teclis kind of both got crumped a little bit there, but the Lothern Sea Guard obviously are going to be a big carrier as well. All of them getting excellent value. Pretty much all of them more than doubling. I guess two not quite, but still. Silver Helm's also nice contribution to see there. Karl. Oh, Carl, what are you doing, Carl? 5,600 damage value. Absolutely wild. I mean, granted, there's a little bit of healing kind of going on here, so a little bit inflated there, but still, just absolutely ridiculous. The veteran spears, unfortunately, did not hold up their end of the bargain. Neither did the war wagons. Pretty much it was just Carl and the steam tank doing almost all of the heavy lifting there, so not quite enough at the end of the day, but still, very, very fun stuff. And yeah, golden rank Swordmasters, so all memes aside, you know, clearly this is not meant to be taken 100% seriously, but all memes aside, one thing we can kind of take from this is that ranking units up sometimes can lead to pretty surprising results. So this is almost 1,700 to pay for a unit of elite infantry, which I would generally not ever advise doing, especially given that Swordmasters are relatively squishy in terms of their HP pool. And you saw there, like, yes, they were able to kill literally all of the Empire infantry, but then they actually almost lost to a steam tank with like a quarter of its HP left. So there's something to consider there, but yeah, absolutely did pay for themselves, no questions there. And there's a, you know, once you get to a certain level of eliteness, it like this unit, for example, Swordmasters are no question, as far as anti-infantry goes, one of the best units in the game. That being said, you know, anti-infantry still as a role is not super useful, arguably more so now than it is before, because infantry is actually a little bit more viable at fighting large units, and therefore infantry may be a better answer. But anyway, that's kind of a discussion for another day. But you know, the extra leadership and stats in this case actually does end up making a pretty significant difference, especially when you consider that martial prowess. Like, basically what you're doing here is you're making it so that your stats are so high that most Empire state troops are in that minimum hit chance, right? So if we think about Empire state troops, and even like veteran spears, right? Or even regular swordsmen, the Sigmar's sons here. So the base hit chance is 35%, right? So you gotta think, generally, like, Empire swordsmen are kind of a good, they have 32 attack, 32 defense. So you kind of think, like, in the area of around 30 to 35 attack defense. You know, obviously, veteran spearmen have more defense than that, up to 50. But still, like, you think about, you know, your Swordmasters, even after martial prowess, still having 57 attack, because you have that, you know, 20% more melee attack than your opponent's melee defense. You really just go way above and beyond, and the melee defense is so high that they are going to be at minimum hit chance. So it's, I think, 8% minimum hit chance. So you kind of think, like, the difference of, again, about 20 or so, right, to bring it from 35 down to 15, you know, 25 plus. If you start to get a difference of 25 plus between your like the Empire, for example, from this melee attack to the High Elves melee defense, like, being at that minimum hit chance, there's just not really much, like, almost no likelihood whatsoever that your unit's going to do a meaningful amount of damage to the enemy. So, you know, maybe in matchups where you're not going to be facing too much ranged artillery fire, too much monster pressure, too much charge pressure, you know, that's a lot of ifs. Too much missile pressure in general, then maybe you can use these guys to just absolutely clean house on all of the chaff in the world and never take any damage in the process. There's certainly something there, but just a little bit of a random replay for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.